In the far corner of space, there was a large, quiet station called Virex-9. It was not made for comfort, it was made for control. Cold metal walls, blinking lights, and endless silence filled the place. Deep inside this station, behind many locked doors, there was a room called Cell 42. The guards didn't talk about it. Most people on the station didn't even know it existed. But in that small dark cell, there was a girl, an alien girl, silent and still. Sitting on the cold stone floor, she had been there for 16 nights. No bed, no blanket, no food, no water. Just her glowing blue eyes. Watching quietly, she never screamed, never spoke, never moved much. She was small and thin, with pale silver skin. Her back always faced the security camera. They said she was dangerous, but no one knew why. They said she came from a planet that no longer exists. Then, on the 17th day, a human arrived on the station. His name was Corporal Jace Marlowe. He was young, new, and full of questions. He had a habit of not following orders, and that got him in trouble before. When he first heard about Cell 42, he was curious. Who's in there? He asked his supervisor. No one you should care about, the man replied. She's not one of us, but Jace couldn't stop thinking about her. That night, during his patrol shift, he stopped outside Cell 42. The door had no window, just a camera feed above. He looked at the screen and saw her sitting, still, silent. Why is she on the floor? Jace asked. No bed? The other guard shrugged. She doesn't need one. She's not like us, he added. She doesn't even speak. But Jace noticed something. In every video log, she was always awake, always sitting in the same spot. No sleep, no food, no movement. Like she was waiting for something or someone that night. Jace watched the camera longer than he should have. And something strange happened. The camera glitched just for a second. And for the first time, the girl looked up directly at him, as if she knew he was there. The next day, Jace went to the supply room. He grabbed a clean blanket and a small foam sleeping mat. When no one was looking, he walked towards Cell 42. His ID access didn't work, of course. It was restricted. But he had a habit of hacking things, and this lock wasn't hard for him. The door slid open slowly with a low hiss. Inside, the room was colder than he expected. There was no bed, no lights, nothing but stone walls and silence. And in the corner there she was, sitting just like always. Jace took one step forward, then another. The girl didn't move, but her eyes followed him, blue, bright, and unreadable. He didn't speak at first. He just laid the mat down gently and placed the blanket over it. You don't deserve this, he said quietly. He looked at her again, and this time her head tilted slightly, like she didn't understand him but was trying to. Jace stood up and said, "If you want a rest, use it." Then he turned to leave. But before the door closed, he heard something. A sound so soft, he almost missed it. A word, just one, spoken in a quiet, broken voice. Why? Jace stopped in his tracks. He turned around slowly, heart racing. She was looking at him now, not just with her eyes, but with something else. Hope, maybe, or confusion. He stepped back inside. You speak English? He asked. She shook her head slowly, but then said, Not. Speak, listen. Her voice was weak but clear. Jace sat down on the floor, not too close. What's your name? He asked. She looked down at her hands, then whispered, No name. Given away. Jace didn't understand what that meant, but something inside him felt heavy, like this was bigger than he realized. Why are you in here? He asked. She looked at the wall and said nothing. He stayed with her for a few minutes more. Then he stood up and said, I'll come back tomorrow. As the door closed behind him, the girl slowly leaned toward the mat. She didn't lie down, but she touched the blanket with her fingers, like it was something strange and precious that night. The station logs recorded an unknown energy spike inside Cell 42. The camera feed glitched again, but this time, the girl was not sitting in the corner. She was standing, looking directly into the lens, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. Asterisk, no one expected the girl in Cell 42 to speak, not after 16 silent nights. Not after all the guards had given up on her, but she did. Only one word, but it changed everything. Why? That single question followed Jace through the next day. He tried to act normal, follow his duties, walk his routes. But his mind kept going back to her, to the way she looked at the blanket, the mat, to the way she touched it gently, like she had never seen one before. The other guards laughed at him. "You wasting your time with that thing?" One said, "She's probably not even alive. Just some experiment gone wrong." But Jace didn't laugh. He saw something in her eyes, not madness, not violence, something else. Pain, maybe, or memory, or both. That night, Jace returned. He didn't bring anything this time. Just questions. The door opened, quieter now, like even the metal had learned to fear the silence inside. She was awake, sitting again, but this time, her head turned before he stepped in. She was waiting. He sat down across from her, keeping his distance. "Do you remember anything?" he asked. She looked down at the floor. "Pieces," she said. "Like broken glass." Jace leaned forward slightly. "Your name?" She shook her head. "Gone. Where are you from?" She paused, closed her eyes, then whispered, "Sky." Without stars. Jace didn't understand. Was it destroyed? She didn't answer, but a single tear rolled down her cheek. She wiped it fast, like it wasn't allowed. Suddenly, the room lights flickered, the temperature dropped, and a soft humming sound filled the airlow. Strange and deep. Jace's gums went silent. His wrist display glitched, and then her eyes began to glow again. Faint but steady. "What's happening?" he asked, standing up. But the girl wasn't afraid. She just looked at her hands and said, "It's coming back." "What is?" She didn't reply. Instead, she slowly turned her head and looked at the wall. With a single finger, she drew a symbol in the dust, a shape that didn't match any human language. Not letters, not numbers, just a spiral, with a line through it. "What's that mean?" She answered without looking. "Key." That night, Jace made a choice. He broke into the station's archive logs, searching for anything on cell 42. There were no files, no reports, only one entry. 17 days old. Delivery received from Site Theta 9. Condition: unstable. Asset stored. No name, no species, no data. Just asset. Jace looked up Site Theta 9. A black site, off record. Believed destroyed during a raid last year. But no bodies were ever recovered, no survivors reported. Only rumors that something was taken from deep inside the moon base. And whatever it wasn't meant to exist. Jace returned to cell 42 again, this time with a small tablet. He showed her images of known alien species, hoping she'd recognize something. But she just shook her head, again and again, until one picture flashed across the screen, a red crystal, glowing in the hands of a soldier. Her entire body went still. She reached out and touched the image. "That," she said softly. "It burned." "You touched it?" Jace asked, shocked. She nodded slowly. "They put it inside." Her voice trembled. Her hand clutched her chest. "They said I could carry it." I didn't say yes. Suddenly, the lights flickered again, and the same deep hum returned, louder this time. The walls around her began to vibrate slightly, just for a moment. The camera above the door sparked, then went dark. Jace stood up, heart pounding. "What's inside you?" he asked. She looked at him, truly looked at him now, like she was seeing him not as a soldier, not as a guard, but as a person. And she said, "Something old, something they fear." Jace backed away slowly, trying to stay calm. Before the door closed, he asked, "What do you want from me?" The girl didn't move, didn't speak, but just as the door sealed shut, her voice came through the intercom, soft, broken, real. "You're the first one who didn't look away." Jace couldn't sleep, not after what she told him. Something was inside her, something she never chose, something ancient, and somehow she was still carrying it, still surviving. He tried to tell his commanding officer, tried to report the strange energy surges, the camera malfunctions, the humming sound in cell 42. But the officer just stared at him and said, "You're not here to think, Marlowe. You're here to follow orders." That was the last warning. Jace was one step away from reassignment, or worse, but he didn't care anymore. He had to know what they were hiding, what they put inside her. That night he returned, this time with a low-frequency scanner, small and illegal. He sat across from her like always, calm on the outside, nervous underneath. She was already watching him. "You came back," she said. Her voice a little stronger now. He nodded. "I need to understand." She tilted her head. "You won't like what you find." Jace activated the scanner, pointed it at her chest. It beeped instantly. A high-energy reading, pulsing from inside her ribcage. The scanner glitched for a moment, then shut off completely. "That thing inside you," Jace said. "It's alive?" The girl looked down, eyes unfocused. "Not alive," she said, "but dreaming. What does it want?" She touched her temple gently. "Not want," she whispered. "It remembers." Jace leaned forward. "Then let it show me." There was silence between them, then without warning, she reached across the floor and touched his forehead with 2 fingers. In an instant, Jace felt a rush of cold air, then heat, then fire. He wasn't in cell 42 anymore. He saw a ruined city made of black glass and white stone, skies full of stars that blinked like eyes, a temple. Floating above the ground, surrounded by light, in the center, a pedestal, and on it, a glowing red crystal, spinning slowly, humming, breathing. Jace stumbled backward, falling onto the cold floor. Gasping for air, the vision ended, but the echo remained. He looked at her with wide eyes. "What was that?" He whispered. "A memory," she replied. "Not mine." "Then whose?" She didn't answer, but this time she stood. Her bare feet touched the floor without sound. She walked to the wall and began drawing again. Symbols, shapes, curved lines that twisted into each other like vines or circuits. Jace realized something. The drawings weren't random. They were repeating across different walls. Different nights, a pattern, a language, maybe even a map then. For the first time, the girl looked afraid. "They tried to lock it away," she said, "deep. But memories don't like cages." Before Jace could ask more, the door behind him opened. Another guard stepped in, his face tense, hand on his weapon. "You're not supposed to be here," the guard snapped. Jace stood fast. "I was just checking her vitals." She showed signs of stress. The guard didn't believe him. "You're lucky command hasn't had you reassigned already." But just as he stepped forward, the girl turned and stared at him. The guard froze in place, his eyes unfocused, blinking rapidly. "Hey," Jay said. "You okay?" The guard dropped his weapon, slowly backed out of the room, and ran. Just ran down the hall like he'd seen a ghost. Jace turned back to the girl, stunned. "What did you do to him?" She sat down again calmly. "Nothing." He saw something. That's when Jace understood. She didn't just carry memories, she unlocked them. Whatever was placed inside her could make others remember things they were never supposed to see. Before he left, she whispered something strange. "They called me a vault," she said. "A prison with no key. But you're different." "Why me?" Jace asked. She looked up, glowing eyes full of something new, sadness and hope. "Because you listened. Because when I touched your mind." It didn't close. Jace walked out. Heart pounding, his world had changed again. She was more than just an alien, more than a victim. She was a door, and someone had thrown away the key, but Jace had just found it. Asterisk, it started with a vibration, soft at first, like the hum of distant engines, but it wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from beneath the station. Jace felt it during his patrol. The walls shivered for just a moment, not enough to sound alarms, but enough to make him stop walking. Then came the voices, not on the coms in his head like echoes, repeating one word over and over: return. Return. He blinked and the sound vanished. The hallway was normal again, quiet and empty. But deep inside, he knew something had changed. The station was waking up that night. Cell 42 was different. When he opened the door, He found the girl standing, facing the far wall. Her hand pressed against the stone. She was whispering something. Too soft to hear, he stepped closer. "What are you doing?" She turned her head slightly. "It's calling," she said. "The place below." "Below what?" She looked at him, calm but serious. "Below here," Jace frowned. "There's nothing below this sector," he said. "It's solid structure." "No," she replied. "It's hollow." Jace didn't argue, not after everything he had seen. Not after the memory she pushed into his mind. The city of glass. The spinning red crystal. He had started to believe she wasn't just a vault. She was a beacon. Later that night, he hacked into the station's original blueprints. The real ones, not the public versions. And there it was, buried in corrupted files. A forgotten sublevel, Sector 0. Sealed for over 100 years. No logs, no crew, no reason why. The next morning, the breach alert came. 3 unidentified ships appeared out of nowhere. No warning, no clearance. They didn't answer hails, they just docked silently. Security scrambled, weapons were raised. But the intruders didn't storm in guns blazing. They walked, slowly, confidently. Tall figures in black armor, faces hidden behind chrome masks. No insignia, no flag. One of them held a scanner. It pointed toward cell 42 like a magnet. "They're here for her," Jace whispered. He ran, pushed past guards, bypassed locked doors. He had to reach her before they did, inside cell 42. The girl was already standing, waiting. "They found me," she said, almost calmly. "Then we're leaving," Jace said, grabbing her hand. She didn't resist. For the first time, she moved without fear. They ran through narrow maintenance shafts, climbing down old ladders and rusted passages. Jace followed the ancient map he found in the blueprints. They passed doors no one had opened in years. Down and down, until the air changed, until the walls were no longer metal, but stone. "We're here," she whispered. They stood before a giant sealed door, round like a vault, marked with that strange spiral symbol. Her hand lit up with red light, and without touching it, the door began to unlock. The metal groaned. Dust fell, and then it opened. Inside was silence, a large chamber, empty except for a single raised platform, and floating above it, a crystal. Red, spinning slowly, just like in the memory. Jace stepped forward, eyes wide. "It's real," he said. "It's the same one." "No," she replied. "It's another." Suddenly, the room lit up with lines of glowing script across the walls. Not alien, human, but not any human language Jace had ever seen. "What is this place?" he asked, voice shaking. The girl looked around with wonder and sadness. "This is where they put the first key," Jace turned to her. "What do you mean first?" She stepped forward and touched the crystal. It didn't burn. It pulsed with light. Images flashed across the chamber walls. Old ships, human designs but ancient. Battles, stars breaking apart, cities vanishing. A human voice echoed through the room, distorted but clear. "If you're hearing this, we failed. This vault must not fall into the wrong hands. Only one with the human signal can activate the core." Jace turned to her, confused. "Human signal?" She nodded slowly. "You," she said. "It's you." Ending hook above them. The black-armored intruders reached the final door, weapons ready, scanners locked in. But it was too late. The vault had already chosen, and it had chosen Jace. The vault responded the moment Jace touched the crystal. Not with light, not with sound, but with memory. Not his own, something older, something buried deep in the bones of the galaxy. He saw a world twin suns, silver towers, oceans in the sky. Humans not like him, stronger, taller, dressed in armor made of light. Fighting a war no one remembered, falling one by one. "This was us," Jace whispered, breathing fast. "Before." Beside him, the girl placed a hand on his chest. "You were made to forget," she said. "Now you remember." Above them, alarms screamed. The black-armored invaders had breached the sublevel. They were coming, and fast. Jace pulled away from the vision. Chest heaving. "We need to go," he said. But the girl shook her head, calm, clear, focused. "Not yet." She stepped onto the platform. The red crystal floated above her now, pulsing slowly. She closed her eyes, and the air around her changed thick, like time itself was slowing. Jace looked at his hands. Dust was hanging in the air, frozen. Even sound had gone quiet. The girl opened her eyes, and they were burning with light. Not blue anymore, but red like the crystal. She whispered something in a language Jace didn't understand, and the walls around them shifted, revealing more symbols. More rooms, more machines, buried tech, hidden for centuries beneath the station. "You're unlocking it," Jace said, amazed. But the girl looked at him with sadness. "No," she said. "It's unlocking me." Suddenly, boom. The chamber door exploded inward, metal flying, dust rising. The masked intruders stormed in, weapons raised, no hesitation. They opened fire. Jace dove forward, trying to shield the girl, but the bullets stopped in midair. Hanging like glass in water, the intruders froze in place, unsure. Then one of them screamed, grabbing his helmet, falling to his knees, his mind tearing apart. The girl stepped off the platform, calm as ever. "You stole memories that weren't yours," she said softly. "Now they remember you." Jace watched as the other two backed away. Fear in their eyes. They had come to take her, to control the vault, but they didn't understand it. "They weren't chosen, Jace," the girl said, turning to him. "This place was built by your kind, a long time ago, when you were gods." "That's not possible," Jace replied. "We were just—" She cut him off gently. "You were reset." The walls began to pulse with red energy, ancient machines activating one by one. Holograms of human cities, maps of forgotten star systems, names no one had spoken in 1,000 years. "It's not just me," she said. "There are others. Other vaults. Other crystals." Jace's hands were shaking. "Why me?" He asked. "Why did the vault choose me?" "Because your DNA carries the signal," she said. "The last signature of the builders. The ones who made me, above them." The station began to shake. The intruders triggered a lockdown. Or maybe the vault triggered it itself. Jace didn't know. All he knew was that this place wouldn't stay hidden for long. "We have to go," he said again. This time she nodded, but before they left, she walked to the last armored attacker, still frozen in place. She placed a hand on his helmet and whispered, "I give it back." The man collapsed, unconscious, his memories wiped clean. As they escaped the chamber, climbing through forgotten tunnels, Jace looked back one last time. The crystal pulsed once, then slowly sank into the platform, sealing itself away. The girl didn't look back. "Where now?" Jace asked, breathless. "To the next vault," she said. "To Origin." "What's Origin?" She looked at him with a tired smile. "The planet your people were born on, but never raised on, asterisk." The escape pod shook as it dropped into silent space. Jace and the girl sat inside, the stars rushing past the window. The vault was behind them, now buried again, sealed beneath broken steel and forgotten secrets. But Jace knew they hadn't escaped it. Not really. "Where is Origin?" he asked, still catching his breath. She looked at the stars, eyes glowing faint red. "Far from here," she said. "In a place even maps pretend doesn't exist." Jace opened a small comlink. "Broadcasting an encrypted signal. I'm sending a ping," he said. "So Command doesn't think I'm dead." She didn't stop him. She just watched him, silently, like she already knew what would happen. The signal was picked up fast, too fast. A nearby vessel responded, one of theirs. A standard patrol ship, gray and worn down, but familiar. Jace smiled. "They found us," he said. The girl didn't smile back. She only whispered, "You shouldn't have called them." They docked onto the patrol ship. The airlock opened. Jace stepped out first and saw a face he recognized. Commander Tal Ren, his old mentor, the man who trained him, tall, serious, eyes sharp like broken glass. "Jace," the commander said, voice flat, "you've got a lot of explaining to do." Behind him, soldiers raised their weapons, not at Jace, but at the girl. She didn't move, didn't blink. "She's not a threat," Jace said quickly. "She's not what you think." But the commander wasn't listening. He just pointed and said, "Take her to containment." They dragged her away in silence. Jace tried to follow, but the commander stopped him. "She's not a person, Marlowe," he said coldly. "She's a signal, and we finally locked it down." Jace froze. "What do you mean?" he asked. The commander stared at him like a teacher scolding a child. "Did you really think she escaped that vault?" he asked. "She was released. She was supposed to trigger the next phase." Jace felt cold. "Phase of what?" The commander leaned in closer, voice low. "Humanity was never supposed to survive," he said. "We're an accident that refuses to die." Jace took a step back. "What are you talking about?" The commander smiled an empty, hollow smile. "You touched the crystal," he said. "Did it show you? Did it tell you who we used to be?" Jace nodded slowly. "Then you know," the commander said. "We weren't just explorers. We were conquerors. The galaxy erased us for a reason." Suddenly, Jace understood. This wasn't just about control. This was about keeping the past buried. If humanity remembered who they were, they might become it again. The girl was no longer a prisoner. She was a threat to that silence. Jace turned fast and ran. Through corridors, past confused guards, until he reached containment. The door was sealed, but he overrode the lock. He was good at breaking rules. Inside, the girl sat calmly in the center of the room. Not chained, not caged, just waiting. "I told you," she said quietly. "You shouldn't have called them." "I'm sorry," he said, out of breath. "I didn't know." She stood slowly, the lights flickering again. "You still don't," she said. "But you will, behind them." The ship rocked hard. Alarms started blaring. Not from inside, from outside. A new ship had arrived, massive, black, quiet. No signals, no engines, just presence. It hovered like a shadow across stars. The crew scrambled, terrified, unsure what they were even looking at. Jace stared at the screen and whispered, "What is that?" The girl stepped beside him. "They've come," she said. "The ones who erased you. The reclaimers." The black ship powered up. Energy fields glowing around it. Weapons unlike anything human lit up in silence. It wasn't here to communicate. It was here to finish what it started centuries ago. Jace turned to her, panicked. "What do we do?" She reached out her hand to him. "You remember," she said. "Now help others remember too." The commander burst in with a weapon. "You won't leave this ship." He shouted, but it was too late. The girl closed her eyes. The floor lit up beneath her feet. Symbols burning red. The walls bent inward. Metal screaming, then silence. And the screen cracked. A voice filled the ship. Ancient, layered, human and not. Reclaiming sequence interrupted. Error. Signal has bonded.
Jace was standing on a mountain, but he didn't remember climbing it. The air was cold, the sky was white, and the ground below stretched forever. Towers of metal, rivers of glass, and a sun that pulsed red like a heartbeat. He looked down at his hands. They weren't his. They were larger, older, and glowing faintly. A voice echoed behind his eyes. "This is not a dream. This is your inheritance." He turned and saw her, the girl, but different now. Dressed in ancient armor, eyes like galaxies. She stood beside a circle of humans, leaders, scientists, soldiers, all facing a massive glowing sphere. The origin core, the machine that once created stars, moved planets, and gave birth to the first true humans. "Why are you showing me this?" Jace asked, his voice echoing across time. "Because you need to understand what we lost," she said, "and what you must choose." The scene shifted. The sky turned black, and fire rained down. Ships exploded, planets burned. Humanity, the old version, wasn't killed by aliens or war. They did it to themselves. "Too much power," she whispered. "Too fast." "We became gods, but forgot how to be human." Jace watched as the origin core was sealed, watched as the vaults were created, the memories locked away, the great reset triggered. One word echoed louder than all the rest. Sleep. The memory faded, and Jace fell to his knees on the floor of the reclaimer ship. He was back, but not the same. Across from him stood the girl, unchanged, waiting. And around them, chaos. The reclaimer ship had docked to the patrol vessel, systems offline, lights flickering, soldiers unconscious. Only Jace and the girl were still standing. What happens now? He asked. She stepped forward, holding a small shard of the red crystal in her hand. You make a choice, she said. This shard can reactivate the origin core. And what does that do? She looked him in the eyes. It will wake up every vault, restore every locked memory across your species. But once it begins, there is no going back. And the reclaimers? She closed her hand, the crystal pulsing. They will try to stop it. They were made to erase civilizations that became unstable. Who made them? She paused. Your ancestors, she said. To stop yourselves. Jace stared at the crystal, heart pounding. If I don't use it, she answered without emotion. Humanity stays small, safe, forgotten, controlled. Jace thought about Earth, about cities where people argued about small things, where wars were fought for oil, where no one knew they were walking on the ashes of giants. He thought about the vault, the memory, the reclaimers, and about her, the girl who had survived 16 nights on stone, waiting for someone to offer her a bed, someone to offer her trust. He took the crystal. It was warm now, pulsing like it had a heartbeat. Will you help me? He asked. She smiled, for the first time. I was made to. Jace pressed the shard into the control core. The ship shook, lights exploded, alarms screamed. A voice filled the air, older than all of them. Signal confirmed. Vaults unlocked. Core reactivation in progress. Across the galaxy, things began to wake up. Vaults buried on forgotten moons lit up red. Ancient AI systems blinked to life. Humans in cities far from the stars felt their minds shift, like they suddenly remembered they were more than just survivors. The reclaimer ship tried to resist, but it couldn't erase what was already awake. The system overloaded, and in one final pulse of energy, the reclaimers shut down. Silence, then peace. Hours later, Jace stood beside her on a new world. Origin, a green-blue planet hidden in a nebula, untouched by war, untouched by time. Beneath their feet, the ground hummed with the return of ancient knowledge. What now? He asked. She looked at the horizon. We start again, she said. But this time, we remember.